What's going on, everybody out there? Hope you're having a good Saturday, whatever you may do. This is the Year in Wrestling 2007, Part 3. I'll be talking about WWE, some TNA, and a little bit of Ring of Honor, because Ring of Honor started pay-per-views in 2007. They had their first one was in May 2007, and they had another in June, another in September, and another in October of 2007, and then they had another one, I think, no, they didn't have another till March of 2008. So the pay-per-view I'm going to talk about is the Ring of Honor pay-per-view I actually saw. I ordered it. It wasn't on Sunday night. It was just a pay-per-view to order anytime you wanted to, on demand. It was called Ring of Honor Driven. Took place June 23rd, 2007 from Chicago. Crowd was pretty hyped for it. It was a good crowd. Matches that I thought were really good that I remember were Kevin Steen and El Generico, who El Generico, if you didn't know, before he was Sami Zayn, that was Sami Zayn. And Kevin Steen, before he was Kevin Owens, that was Kevin Owens. His name is Kevin Steen on the Independents and in Ring of Honor. So El Generico and Kevin Steen took on the Briscoe brothers. And the Briscoes were the tag champs. They defeated El Generico and Kevin Steen. They had a really good match. The main event of this, you had other matches. Niall McGuinness defeated Chris Hero. That was pretty good. Adam Pearce lost to the Ring of Honor World Champion. I can't pronounce his name. He is from Japan. And the main event was Kenta. I think that's how you say it. Kenta defeated Bryan Danielson. Kenta defeated Bryan Danielson. So that was Ring of Honor Driven. As I said, it was a pretty damn good pay-per-view, and I think I would order one or two more pay-per-views in 2008 from Ring of Honor. So that was called Driven, if you want to look it up and try to find it on YouTube or something. Now I'm going to talk about TNA's Slammiversary, Bound for Glory, their biggest event of the year, Bound for Glory. Took place in October 2007. If I can find it, here it is. It was from Georgia. The LAX defeated Triple X in an Ultimate X match. And I don't think it was for the tag titles. They just won an Ultimate X match. Eric Young won a 15-man fight for the right match, whatever the hell that meant. AJ Styles and Tyson Tomko defeated TNA Tag Team Champions Team Pac-Man for the tag team titles. This was ridiculous. It was really stupid for TNA to use Adam Pac-Man Jones. He's an NFL player still. I believe he's on the Cincinnati Bengals. And he's been there for a couple years. He's a pretty damn good defensive player and good kick returner. But anyways, Adam Pac-Man Jones, I believe, was suspended by the Titans at the time. Or suspended by the NFL or something. Or he was going into training camp. Anyways, I think he was suspended by the NFL because this was October. Obviously, in October, the NFL season is going on. So he was suspended from the NFL for a year, I think, for doing something crazy against the law. Anyways, Adam Pac-Man Jones, I believe his NFL contract that he had still said he couldn't go out and do any fighting, do any competing, because the risk of injury would screw the team, basically, if he got injured in a wrestling ring trying to wrestle when he wasn't a trained wrestler. I don't know if he tried to train. I don't really care if he tried. It was just ridiculous that TNA brought in Adam Pac-Man Jones. It gave them a little bit of promotion by ESPN. Actually put Jeff Jarrett on the air with Adam Pac-Man Jones, so I guess it got a little bit of promotion for Bound for Glory coming up. So maybe it did help TNA get a few buys from a couple NFL fans that were fans of Adam Jones. But it was just so stupid because Adam Jones couldn't wrestle. He couldn't get body slammed. He couldn't get touched by his opponents. He could not even get touched in the ring. He couldn't take any bumps. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't even throw a punch. He couldn't even take a punch. It was ridiculous. He would bring a football to the ring, and he was a TNA Tag Team Champion with R-Truth. Somehow, with Ron Killings, they won the tag titles. I don't know how. Because Adam Jones could do nothing in the ring. Because his NFL contract probably said he couldn't. So, the only spot Adam Jones would do with a football in the ring that I remember, he'd get tagged in, he'd bring the football and he'd throw it and spike it at his opponent and hit his opponent really hard with throwing the football at them. That was the only stupid thing he could do. So TNA probably wasted a lot of money paying Pac-Man Jones, but whatever, it's their money. They can waste it however they want. They've been wasting their money, and Dixie's parents have been wasting their money for the past 5 years, and they really have gotten no money back at all. TNA, their entire years in existence, for over whatever it's been, 13 years, I don't think TNA has ever made a profit of over $5 million. They have always been in the red, and I don't think TNA has ever made a profit. So that's pretty pathetic. Anyways, back to Bound for Glory. Team Pac-Man lose to AJ and Tyson Tomko. They win the TNA tag titles. Thank God the tag titles are off of Adam Jones. X Division champion Jay Lethal defeated Christopher Daniels. They had a good match. I think Jay Lethal is playing the Black Machismo character still. The Steiner brothers defeated Team 3D in a tables match. This was a pretty fun match to watch because I was a fan growing up of the Steiners. They were a great tag team, legendary tag team. And Team 3D, the Dudley Boys, I was a big fan of theirs in ECW and WWE. And WWF before it became WWE. And Team 3D and TNA, they had a pretty good run. They did some good stuff in TNA. Especially Bubba Ray when he became Bully Ray, and he became one of the top heels that TNA had for 1 or 2 years. Up next, after the Steiners defeated Team 3D in the tables match, Gail Kim won the first ever Knockouts title match. The title is on the line to crown the first ever Knockouts champion. Gail Kim would win the 10 women gauntlet match to win the TNA Knockouts title for the first time ever. I wanted Angelina Love to win because I'm a fan of hers, but I was happy with Gail Kim being champion because she was pretty damn good and she could carry the division into the future. Samoa Joe defeated Christian Cage. They had a good match. Abyss, Raven, Rhino, and Black Rain. If you don't know who Black Rain was and you don't remember Black Rain, well, you're lucky because it was a god-awful character that Dustin Rhodes was playing when he was probably really messed up on drugs and painkillers. I don't know what Dustin Rhodes was taking at the time, but he obviously had to be high as fuck to come up with the Black Rain character because it was god awful. He'd paint his face silver and black like Goldust paint, but Goldust style design, but it was black and silver. It was awful. Awful character Black Rain was, and I'm sure he was pretty messed up on drugs at the time. So Abyss defeats Raven, Rhino, and Black Rain in a Monsters Ball match. I'm sure that was pretty good. I haven't watched it in years. Bound for Glory 07 I haven't watched probably since 2008. The main event was Sting defeating TNA World Champion Kurt Angle to win the TNA World title. Now Sting at 2006, Bound for Glory, Sting did the same. He was in the main event. He defeated Jeff Jarrett. I was happy about that because I was damn sick of Jeff Jarrett putting himself over every other opponent and never losing that title. I was happy that Sting won the title in 06 at Bound for Glory. 07, I wouldn't have been angry or upset if Kurt Angle would have retained, but he did not. Sting won the title again, back-to-back years at Bound for Glory. Good for him. Sting's a legend. I will never say a bad word about Sting. The guy is growing up, I was a huge Sting fan, so I'll never talk bad about Sting ever. And I'll never bash Sting ever. So that was Bound for Glory 07. It was a pretty good pay-per-view. If I'd rate it, I'd give it a 8. Genesis. The main event was Kurt Angle and Kevin Nash defeating Sting and Booker T. And in the match, Angle's TNA World title, I guess he won it back somehow. I'm not really sure about that if he did, but TNA's World title, or Sting's TNA World title, was at stake in the tag match. So I guess Kurt Angle wanted the title back or something like that. Turning Point, TNA's December 07 pay-per-view. The main event was the team of Kevin Nash, Samoa Joe, and Eric Young defeating Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, and Tyson Tomko. This match was famous. Before the match even started, it's famous for Samoa Joe coming out and Scott Hall no-showing. Scott Hall was supposed to be the tag team partner of Nash and Samoa Joe. Scott Hall no-showed because he was messed up. And he let his personal problems get in the way, and he no-showed the TNA pay-per-view he was supposed to work. So Samoa Joe's angry about it because he busted his ass in TNA. He's one of the top guys in TNA. He was a locker room leader. So Joe is pretty angry that Scott Hall no-showed TNA like TNA was a nothing promotion. So Joe got on the mic before the match started, ripped Scott Hall big time, buried Scott Hall, and then I believe he said I found a partner backstage, and then Eric Young came out to replace Scott Hall. That was not good business that Scott Hall no-showed a TNA pay-per-view that he was supposed to work. I don't know if he was paid ahead of time. I don't have a clue if he was paid ahead of time. But that's not cool to no-show a pay-per-view when you're promoted and supposed to be on the card. So that was Turning Point, December 07. It was a pretty good pay-per-view. I own it on DVD, and it's a pretty good pay-per-view. So now back to WWE pay-per-views. I finished talking about, I think it was Unforgiven. So I'm going to start talking about No Mercy. No Mercy, where's that damn piece of paper right here? No Mercy was in December 07 from Chicago. Pretty rowdy crowd, good fan base in Chicago, good WWE fans there. The main event, before the main event, we had Batista defeating the Great Khali in a pretty god-awful Punjabi prison match. It was shit. It was very, very boring and hard to watch. Batista was not that great of a worker. He couldn't really carry Great Khali, and Khali could not carry anybody. The only good match I've seen Khali ever have was against The Undertaker at Judgment Day 07 or 06, and then again Taker and Khali had a last man standing match on SmackDown in 06. Those are the only two good matches of Khali's entire career. At least his entire WWE career. His two best matches were against The Undertaker. So, after Batista, Great Khali, and the shit god-awful Punjabi prison match. The main event was Randy Orton defeating Triple H in a last man standing match to win the WWE Championship. In the beginning of No Mercy 07, Vince McMahon would come out, make Triple H defend the championship against Randy Orton. Triple H would defeat Randy Orton, become the new WWE champion in the beginning of the show. And then later on, again, Triple H had to, I think he had to face Umaga and defend the title 3 times or something like that. So Triple H defeated Randy Orton to win the title, and then defended it, I think, against Umaga. Maybe I'm wrong. And then the main event, Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon, made Triple H defend the title for a second or third time against Randy Orton. Last man standing. Triple H was pretty exhausted, but the last man standing match was pretty damn good. I enjoyed it. At No Mercy 07, Randy Orton wins and becomes the new WWE champion. Now the Cyber Sunday, which took place in October 07. The main event was Triple H defeated Umaga in a street fight before the main event. WWE Champion Randy Orton defeated Shawn Michaels, which that was a pretty good match also. SmackDown World Heavyweight Champion Batista defeated The Undertaker, and I think Stone Cold might have been the referee for that, or somebody was a special referee, because the fans voted on it. Now on to Survivor Series 07. Kicked off with ECW World Champion CM Punk defeating John Morrison and The Miz in a triple threat match. It was pretty decent. I was a big CM Punk fan in 2007. Now, Survivor Series Divas Elimination Match. We had the team of Mickie James, Maria, Tori Wilson, Michelle McCool, and Kelly defeat Beth Phoenix, Jillian Hall, Melina, Victoria, and Layla. Now, a match for the Raw World Tag Team titles. The Raw Brands World Tag Team titles. Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch defeated Hardcore Holly and Cody Rhodes. And at the Raw 15th anniversary, Cody Rhodes and Hardcore Holly would win the tag titles for the first time, I believe, in Cody's first ever championship in his WWE career. But at Survivor Series, the tag champs defeated Hardcore Holly and Cody Rhodes. The Great Khali defeated Hornswoggle by DQ. That match was absolutely ridiculous, stupid, lame, asinine booking. Nobody cared to see Hornswoggle against the Great Khali. I thought it was ridiculous to see at the time. Team Triple H. The team of Triple H, another Survivor Series elimination match. Triple H, Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, and Kane defeated Team Umaga. Umaga, Ken Kennedy, MVP, Finlay, and Big Daddy V all lost to Team Triple H. Now, the Raw WWE Raw brand WWE Champion Randy Orton defeated Shawn Michaels again. I don't know if it's by DQ. I think the referee bumped and got knocked out, and Randy Orton cheated, and that's how he got a victory over HBK for the second month in a row on pay-per-view. SmackDown World Heavyweight Champion Batista defeated The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. That was the main event of Survivor Series 07. I enjoyed it. Taker always had great matches when he was up against Batista. They always worked really well together. So they had great matches. In my opinion, Taker brought out the best in Batista. I'm going to just turn my light off here because it's light out. Oh, it's dark as hell now. Guess I'll turn it back on. So, on to I'm talking about the Raw 15th anniversary show, because that happened right before Armageddon 2007. So here we go. The Raw 15th anniversary show kicked off with the McMahons, Vince, Stephanie, and Shane. Kicked off the 15th anniversary of Raw. And then Triple H comes out. His music hits. Hornswoggle and his stupid music hits. He runs to the ring because in storyline he was basically he was revealed as Mr. McMahon's son was Hornswoggle, which was stupid as hell. And before that storyline even happened, Vince, before Chris Benoit did what he did to himself, I think right before Vengeance, before Chris Benoit killed himself at the pay-per-view where he no-showed, it was called Vengeance. And Vengeance was in July or June. Vengeance was in June 07. Before Vengeance, they did a storyline where the Mr. McMahon character was basically being killed off. He went through the hallway, all the talent was lined up staring at Vince, and Vince was opening the door, walking in the parking lot to his limo. He's looking around like he was nervous, like something was going to happen or someone was going to take a hit out on Vince and kill him. He gets in the limo, puts his leg in the limo, the camera's shooting it from far away. His leg goes in the limo, he slams the door of the white limo, and the entire limo explodes. I thought that was awesome. I enjoyed that storyline and how they got that limo to explode. Obviously, they had professionals probably load it up with explosives and do it professionally like they do in movies. So the limo explodes. It looked great on Raw. It was a great ending to Raw. And basically, I think Vince wanted his character, his Mr. McMahon character, to die on TV, I guess. He wanted to end the Mr. McMahon character to go off of TV probably forever. But no, after Chris Benoit killed himself, they never brought that storyline. They never mentioned it again. They never even mentioned that Vince blew up in his own limo. I guess because they couldn't, because Benoit just killed his family and himself. So sadly, Vince getting blown up, Mr. McMahon dying in the limo never happened. But it did happen because I have it on video. And they still haven't put that episode from 2007 of Raw. I don't think they have put that episode on the network from when Vince got blown up in his limo. That is not on the network unless they just added 2007 Raws. But whatever, I've seen it many times. You can find it on YouTube. Just search Vince's limo blows up, or Mr. McMahon's limo blows up. I'm sure you can find the video and watch it if you want to watch it. I have it on video so I could watch it anytime I want. But it's pretty damn great to watch. It was a damn, they just put it together very, very well, having a limo explode. Everybody thought Vince was in the limo. Obviously he wasn't, because the guy's still alive today. What do you know? He didn't kill himself. He didn't die in the limo. It was obviously a storyline. It wasn't real people, but a couple fans, probably a couple hundred fans, actually ended up calling the fire department, and that's wherever they were for that Raw. When the limo blew up, they called the fire department and called 911 and said they just watched on Raw on the USA Network. These people were that stupid. I don't know how somebody could be that big of a fucking mark to call 911 after Raw. If Raw would end and you call 911 because you saw something on Raw, well, you should never call 911 or you're a fucking idiot. Because it's just a fucking entertainment show. Anyways, a lot of people called 911 and the fire department saying Vince McMahon his limo blew up and started on fire on Monday Night Raw. Please get to the arena and put it out. So just a bunch of marks and idiots that called 911 thinking Vince was really in the limo. like he would do that to himself. Anyways, I thought that was funny. A couple hundred people actually called 911 saying Vince McMahon's limo blew up and he's in it. Anyways, whatever. I still can't imagine that somebody could be such a big mark. Maybe some kids that were maybe 10 years old or under, maybe were calling 911 thinking it was real. Whatever. If they were kids, then I don't got a problem with it. But if they were teenagers, they were a bunch of fucking stupid marks. Anyways, Hornswoggle comes out on 15th anniversary of Raw when Stephanie and Shane and Vince are in the ring. Vince gets on the mic before Hornswoggle comes out and says, "Welcome to Monday Night Raw." Like he usually did back in the day in 93, 94. He used to say, "Welcome to Monday Night Raw." And do that. Do that gimmick. So, Vince says, "I love you, Shane. I love you, Stephanie." And then Hornswoggle starts looking up at him, which was stupid. As I said, I hated the storyline where Hornswoggle was revealed as Vince's son. It was dumb as hell. Because there's probably like if two normal-sized people have a baby, he's not going to turn out to be a little person. That's super rare. But I have seen some little people have a kid together and the kid actually comes out normal. I don't understand that, but they do. So I guess a normal-sized person could have a little person as a baby, but it'd probably be 1 in 99 million or something like that. That happening, I doubt that happened. You would probably have a better chance of winning Powerball than having a little person as a baby if you're two normal-sized people. And if you have a baby, I doubt they'd come out to be a midget. So, Hornswoggle comes out, as I said. Then Triple H comes out, looks at Stephanie, stares at her real long and says, "Hey, Steph," like he was flirting with her, and it was obviously a joke because every single fan that was a big fan knew Stephanie and Triple H were married since 2003, and this was 2007. And then Triple H even said to the crowd in the beginning of his promo, he says, "All these fans here are smart. They know what's going on between me and Stephanie." Anyways, then Triple H says, "Vince, I'm going to bring out everybody that's been a lover of yours." And then Triple H brings out Melina. Melina comes out for some reason, even though that was just a storyline. Melina did not sleep with Vince, but I'm pretty sure she did sleep with Batista. That's what I heard. Anyways, then Sonny comes out. Triple H says, "Here comes Sonny." And Sonny comes out, and then Vince could have banged Sonny. I don't know, and I don't care if he did. And I feel bad for Linda McMahon if he banged Sonny and she knew it, but whatever. If Linda did get cheated on 20 or 15 years ago, and she is too pathetic and stupid to leave Vince, that's her fault. So then, after Sonny comes out Mae Young. This was pretty funny. Mae Young kept trying to grab Vince and kiss him. That was pretty funny. And then Vince is in the ring, and then Triple H says, "Here are more of your lovers." They bring out Gerald Briscoe, Pat Patterson, the Stooges from the Attitude Era. And they bring out Bastion Booger, which he looked pretty old, and he was dressed up in his old Bastion Booger gear, which was frightening to see and pretty damn disturbing. They also bring out that stupid backstage writer. He was a backstage writer. His character was Big Dick Johnson. He was the fat guy. He was always oiled up like he was a male stripper, and he had a fucking Speedo on, and he was a fat bastard. He was always dancing around, rubbing himself in the ring. And I think Big Dick Johnson, he was a character, I think for most of 2007 he was around. And probably most of 2008. thankfully they got rid of the guy and got rid of him as a writer, because I hated that character. Who knows who came up with it? I don't know if he came up with it or Vince did, whatever. It wasn't even really funny to me. It was just disgusting seeing some fat guy oiled up in a Speedo. He comes out dancing in the ring. Abe Knuckleball Schwartz was in the ring also. He came out as supposedly one of Vince's lovers. And then he got on the microphone, and then Triple H said, I guess the Brooklyn Brawler couldn't make it tonight. And made a little joke because Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, that character, was the Brooklyn Brawler. And then Stephanie says, gets on the mic and says to her dad, I'm disgusted that you did all this with all these people. And then Stephanie says, I'm so embarrassed right now that I'm going to embarrass you, Dad. And then she drops the mic, walks up to Triple H, and makes out with Triple H, her real-life husband. Vince looks pretty pissed off. And then Stephanie leaves. And then after Stephanie leaves, I believe the Godfather, his music hits. The Godfather comes out, has like 9 or 8 or 9 holes with him, brings down the whole train. That was pretty good, fun to see. I'm sure a lot of the holes, I believe WWE would find them at local strip clubs. So a lot of those holes were probably strippers, and a lot of them are pretty damn hot. So thank you for coming out on the 15th anniversary of Raw. Thank you, Godfather, for bringing the holes. Up next, after that long segment, we had the IC title on the line in a ladder match. Carlito took on Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy wins and retains. It was a pretty good ladder match. Not the best I've seen, but it was decent. Up next, we had Santino with Maria. Santino took on an open, what am I trying to say? Santino made an open challenge. Not put on. He made an open challenge to anybody. Who comes out? Mr. Monday Night, Rob Van Dam. He comes out and accepts Santino's open challenge. So RVD, this match was only like 1 or 2 minutes. RVD kicked Santino in the head. He took a bump. RVD goes up to the top. 5-star frog splashes him. 1, 2, 3, it's over. And RVD got a pretty damn good pop for returning. And I think this was a one-time only deal for RVD, because I don't think he'd be back in 2008. Maybe he was. I don't remember. Anyways, up next, after RVD defeats Santino, we have a Evolution reunion. It was promoted and pushed the entire Raw 15th anniversary special leading up to the special, that we were going to see a Evolution reunion. Well, Randy Orton was a heel, so he didn't want to participate. Ric Flair comes out, then Triple H, then Batista. Three of the 4 Evolution members are in the ring. And then Randy Orton's music hits. He comes out, stands on the stage, cuts a promo and says, I'm not getting in the ring with you guys. Last time I was in the ring with Evolution, they did this to me. And then an old video shows up from August 2004 when Evolution and Triple H turned on Randy Orton and beat the crap out of him on Raw. And then Randy Orton says on the stage, I won't team with you, but I don't want to be part of Evolution because I'd rather be part of a better faction rated RKO. Out comes Edge, gets had a lot of heat at the time. Edge was a great heel. When he was a heel, he was a damn good heel in the WWE, so Edge got a lot of boos when he came out on the stage, and then Edge cuts the promo, says, we'll take on you right now, and then Ric Flair interrupts and yells at them that they need to get a third guy to face Evolution tonight. And out comes Umaga. Umaga teams with Randy Orton and Edge. So it's Umaga. Rated RKO against Evolution, Flair, Batista, Triple H. It's obviously Evolution wins. So, after that, we have the Great Khali. Hornswoggle standing in the ring like he was going to take on Great Khali again. So then Khali comes out about to destroy Hornswoggle, throws him down in the ring, and then Hulk Hogan's Real American music hits. Hulk Hogan comes out, gets a massive, major pop by the crowd. Fans loved hearing the Real American music, and they were popping huge for Hogan. Hogan gets in the ring pointing at Great Khali. Great Khali tries to chop Hogan. Hogan blocks it, punches Khali a couple times, and Hogan runs up against the ropes, punches Khali once or twice, and then Khali falls, gets out of the ring, and then Hogan telling Khali, get your ass up, get back in the ring, and then Hogan's music plays. Khali scatters, runs away like a scared little rat. Hogan poses a little bit, does his ear thing, his gimmick, crowd goes crazy, and then Hornswoggle and Hulk Hogan celebrate together in the ring and start posing. So after that, after Hogan saving Hornswoggle, up next we had a 15-man battle royal with a lot of old talent that competed on Monday Night Raws in the past. These are 15-man battle royal. As I said, a lot of them were old guys, old wrestlers that competed on Raw in 93 and 96 and during the Attitude Era. Al Snow was in it. Flash Funk was in it. Bart Gunn was in it. I believe the Goon, that god-awful character, was in it. Who else? Repo Man was in it. IRS, he was in it. In IRS, Ted DiBiase ends up coming out, and then he offers IRS a lot of money. He's holding like a bunch of hundreds, and he gives it to IRS. IRS jumps over the top rope, so Ted DiBiase wins the Battle Royal. And then he gets on the microphone and says, he does his laugh, that gimmick where he laughs, and then he says everybody has a price for the $1 Million Man. So $1 Million Man wins the Battle Royal without even competing in it. He won it by paying off IRS, who was the last man standing. After the Battle Royal, we have a promo from a returning former Raw General Manager, Eric Bischoff. He cuts a promo, and then Y2J comes out and goes back and forth with Bischoff. Is pretty damn entertaining. Y2J rips Bischoff, and Y2J's promo against Bischoff was not PG. It was pretty awesome to hear. He owned Bischoff on the mic, and then he punched Bischoff, and Bischoff fell on his ass. After that, we had the tag team titles on the line. Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch put their titles on the line against Hardcore Holly and Cody Rhodes. And Dusty Rhodes came down to ringside and was on commentary for this match. Cody Rhodes and Hardcore Holly win, become the new tag champs. Cody Rhodes' first title, I believe, in the WWE. Dusty's really happy, very proud of his son Cody for winning his first title. Dusty gets in the ring. This was very touching to see. Dusty gets in the ring because he's no longer with us, and he hugs his son Cody Rhodes. He looked very proud of him. And he celebrates, Dusty celebrates with Cody and Hardcore Holly in the ring. After that, Jillian Hall comes out and says her new album is coming out on iTunes tomorrow, so pick it up, her new holiday album on iTunes. And then she starts singing a Christmas song, because this was in December, so she started, I think, singing the 12 Days of Christmas, and then she turned it into the 12 Days of Jillian. It was a pretty funny segment. She didn't get to sing that long because Trish Stratus and her music hits. Trish comes out, gets a big time pop. Trish comes out, gets in the ring, talks a little bit. And Jillian Hall tells her, "Why are you here? You're from the past. Get out of here. This is my time." And then Lita's music hits. Lita comes out. And Lita and Trish both got a great pop. And Lita and Trish were facing off for a little while because they were rivals for a couple years. And then Jillian Hall's yelling at Lita, "Get her, Lita, get her." And then Lita and Trish turn on Jillian and throw Jillian down. And then at the end of the segment, Trish and Lita hug and leave to the back. Because in real life, they are BFFs. After that, Lita, Trish, Jillian Hall segment. Lita was backstage with Kane, and they were face to face because they had they had business that they did together in the past, where Kane abducted Lita, I believe, and married her. And then when Kane was in a feud with Matt Hardy, when Matt was still going with Lita. Anyway, so Lita and Kane had past business, and this was pretty awkward. They were both staring at each other, and they wouldn't say anything backstage. And then finally, I think Lita or Kane, one of them, said to each other, "How have you been?" And then they said, Kane goes, "I've been fine." And then they stopped talking to each other. And then Ron Simmons comes out in the segment and stares at both of them wearing his damn shirt. And Ron Simmons says his famous segment that was always pretty funny and got a pretty good pop. He looks at both of them and then he goes, "Damn!" So that was pretty funny. After that, I'm almost done talking about this 15th anniversary of Raw. But I just watched it this morning, so I wrote everything down that happened on it. After the Lita, Ron Simmons, Kane segment, Mr. Kennedy was taking on Marty Jannetty. Marty Jannetty returned earlier in the show, and Shawn Michaels, in a backstage interview, Shawn Michaels said, "Mr. Kennedy, you're taking on the rocker Marty Jannetty tonight." Marty Jannetty looked pretty damn old. When he was backstage, he looked at least 45 or 48 years old. He looked tired. He looked run down. He didn't look good. He didn't look healthy. Anyways, but he could still work in the ring pretty good. And Marty Jannetty put on a decent match with Kennedy, even though Kennedy beat his ass and owned him most of the match. Marty Jannetty, when his old rockers music hit, I'm not kidding, he got no reaction at all. None of the fans even cheered him. He got zero reaction. That was pretty sad to see. That Marty Jannetty got no reaction at all. So after that match, Mr. Kennedy wins, and then I believe Shawn Michaels runs down, beats up Kennedy, throws him out of the ring, and Shawn Michaels was wearing super tight black jeans. They were tight as hell. I don't even know how he could get them on, but he did. And then Triple H comes out right after Shawn Michaels threw out Kennedy. Triple H comes out, hands Shawn Michaels a DX shirt and a DX hat. He puts it on. Then Triple H and Shawn Michaels basically have a small little DX reunion. And they do their little crotch chop and the pyro goes off in the ring. Even though they had a better DX reunion at Raw 1000. Because Billy Gunn was there, X-Pac and Road Dogg were there. Part of it. So after this very short DX reunion with Triple H and HBK, we have Vince in the ring to announce who is the greatest Raw superstar ever in the history of Raw, in the 15-year history of Raw. Because at the time in 07, Raw was 15 years old. So then Mr. McMahon says, "I need a drum roll, please, and the greatest superstar in Raw history is me." And then he says, "It's me, Mr. McMahon." Crowd didn't like that. They booed. Then Mick Foley's music hits. Mick Foley comes out dressed as Mankind. He has Socko on his hand, and Vince, I believe, says to him, "Why the hell are you here? Get out of my ring and get out of here." And then Mick Foley as Mankind puts on the mandible claw on Vince. Vince falls down on his back. And Mick Foley leaves the ring. And then the lights go out and the Undertaker's music hits. Undertaker comes out, gets a big time pop. Great reaction like he still does today. And then Undertaker takes his hat off, takes his jacket off, picks up or stands there, has his arm ready to chokeslam Vince, grabs Vince, chokeslams Vince in the ring. Then Vince lays there for at least 3 minutes. 3 or 4 minutes, lays there, sells, getting chokeslammed, and sells his neck. He's holding his neck. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin, the glass breaks. Stone Cold comes out. He gets a massive pop. Stone Cold comes out and picks up Vince. Picks him up, literally had to pick up Vince and hands him a beer and says, I want to give you a beer. And then Stone Cold says, toast. And Vince looks really out of it. He's barely lifting his head up, but he is standing. Stone Cold toasts Vince, and then Vince drinks it very slowly because he's selling the chokeslam and selling the mandible claw. And then Stone Cold, right when Vince starts drinking it, Stone Cold stunners him. That gets a great pop. And that was pretty funny to see. And great to see. So, and Stone Cold, because it was great to see, because Stone Cold and Vince probably had the greatest rivalry in Monday Night Raw history. Anyways, after Stone Cold stuns Vince, then the entire roster starts coming out. They come down the ramp. The entire roster comes out holding beers in their hand to celebrate. Vince is laying outside the ring. A whole bunch of talents, Hornswoggle, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, are pouring a ton of beer on Vince, pouring it all over him. He's like drowning in beer almost, in a beer bash. And then Vince gets angry when the beer is getting poured on him. His character got angry. I don't think he did in real life. He gets up on the ring apron, pissed off. And then Stone Cold punches Vince. He falls off the apron, back onto the floor on his ass. And then Hornswoggle and a lot of other talents are pouring beer. A lot of beer they're pouring on top of Vince again. And then the 15th anniversary of Raw ends like that. It was a pretty damn good show. I enjoyed it. It was the Raw 15th anniversary. They booked it pretty damn well, and it was really entertaining. I believe it's 3 hours long also. At least I think it was. It was a long time ago. 2007 is like 9 years ago. Close to 9 years ago. So, I don't remember if it was 3 hours, but I think it was. Anyways, this ends my talking about 2007 and the year in wrestling. So this ends my year in wrestling 2007 part 3 video. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I went a bit long, but I had to talk about everything that happened on the Raw 15th anniversary. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. Have a great Saturday. Bye for now, everybody.